Uh, I've upgraded everything. Upgraded. That is, and I've got some more upgrades yet to come. First, I changed my channel name to Jesus is the Mark. I actually had it as a channel name probably about a year ago, and I've come full circle to what my initial intentions are. And today we're going to dive into the meaning behind the word Jesus is the Mark, the phrase Jesus is the Mark, how I came up with that, and kind of what it means. We'll dissect it. And we're going to check out a couple of quotes that helped fuel that thought process in my mind, that brought that to my remembrance. And yeah, let's go from there. So I'm going to share my screen now, and then we'll dive into that. Let's run. All right, so Elder Neal A. Maxwell was an apostle for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and he passed, I want to say, in 2004. He was very well loved, and his eloquence with words, his alliteration, his high vocabulary use of advanced words, you had to have a dictionary when he was speaking, was powerful. And when you look those words up and saw the significance of those words, it just enriched his messages. And I'm going to share a couple quotes from him, possibly three. And these quotes are profound. It's kind of what started this whole notion of Jesus as the Mark, why I would want to use that phraseology and where it came from. And this first quote is going to dive into that. Let's do this here. People who despise plainness are apt to despise the prophets because prophets speak plainly. Notice the alliteration there. People can become absorbed in sophisticated and complex things just so long before they become blind to simple things. A class that my kids are attending right now is in the Call to Learn Academy. Essentially, one of the things that's pointed out is we've had many technological advances recently, but we haven't had too many laws of nature. A lot of theory based off of maybe not so accurate ideas rather than discovery of actual science. A lot of technology advancements, that's beautiful, but not a lot of science involvement. And I was just thinking about that. We have this ability as a people, we're understanding these complex things and these complex technologies and AI and all these beautiful things. But are we missing the simple things, such as the still small voice? Do you hear the still small voice in your life? Something Napoleon Hill references as the sixth sense. Do you recognize a stillness and a peace that surpasseth all understanding, and a confidence before yourself, before your fellow man and your maker, like Jesus was, as he grew in stature and favor before God and man? Ah, good stuff here. So let's not become so complicated, which is a human tendency, that we miss out on the simple things. People who are looking beyond the mark will miss seeing what they most need to see. They will finally get the desires of their heart and will be delivered over to things they cannot understand because they desired it. You are going to get what you're looking for. If you're looking for XYZ, you're going to find it. And if it's good or bad, you're going to find it. So why not make a tweak and seek to have an eye single to the glory of God and find him? Ooh, there's an idea. So that was from Jacob 4:14. How important, by contrast, it is for us to desire to be taught by the Spirit so that we can understand, quote, things as they really are and things as they really will be. Oh. People who look beyond the mark are clearly not without sight. They can see, but it is what they choose to look at or for that causes a lack of vision. It might be likened unto a basketball player taking his eyes off the basket and missing an easy layup because he glances at the hot dog vendor in the stands, or those who were too busy staring in search of political liberator and missed the Messiah. Wow. Oh, this gives chills. He's so powerful with his words and the ideas and the Spirit felt and confirmation. So that doesn't directly say Jesus is the mark, but that's the notion, is that when he becomes the mark of your life, the focal point, the aim, and you're striving to be like him as he was striving to be like God. That's when transformation happens. But if you take your eye off the game of having your eye single to God and focus on the hot dog stand, you're going to miss the point. Like, you're going to look, if you're busy looking for a political liberator rather than the Messiah, you miss the mark. Yeah, you may get wealth and fame, but if you lose your soul in the process, you miss the mark. And when I say lose your soul, I'm not referencing going to hell and damnation. I'm referencing missing out on what you could have had. Not just having a good and honorable life in this world, but having, and who gives philanthropically and makes a big difference in the world, but having discovered that Jesus is the mark and tapping into the powers of godliness. Not just having the form of godliness, but the powers thereof. Okay, so the next quote. And no, same author here, Elder Neal A. Maxwell, and no amount of searching, if it consists of looking beyond the mark, will produce a true vision of reality. So when I was reading that, I thought to myself, well, what is the mark then? What is the mark? What is the mark? The past two quotes, etc. Like, what is it? What is it? And he says it right here succinctly. The mark is Christ! Exclamation point. To look beyond that mark is to fail fatally in perception. And without such perception, there will be no solutions, for without vision, the people perish. So yeah, we can have a vision and we can have sight and we can see, but if the target's here and we're looking over here, we're going to miss it. And if we're looking at, building up our own kingdom or our own empire, we're going to miss it because it's right here in front of us. The kingdom of God is actually in your heart. Luke 17:20 and 21 tells us that. And then I love the Robert Young translation of it, where it says the reign of God is in our hearts. Will you let him reign in your heart? Will you seek his will? Ooh. When you do, that's when transformation happens. That's when you become more than you can on your own. Yes, you can build a skyscraper. Yes, you can go to Mars. Yes, you can have really nice house and fancy cars. Yes, and those are all good and wonderful things. But you can also have the power of godliness, which gives you power to do mightier things than build a building or a spaceship. Like, wow. So let's dive into one more quote. I had this prepared just to be safe. And it just really drives home the point of what we're getting at. Yes, you can get wealth, health, and relationships. And those are wonderful things. And I am not poo-pooing them in any way, shape, or form. But when your eye is single to the glory of God and you tap into the power of godliness, those things, all things, the scriptures say, work together for your good. And if it be for your good, you will have the abundance. You will have those gifts and those exchanging of talents. Why? Because you were wise over the small things and you were given greater things. And then you're wise over the greater things and you're given even more greater things unto receiving all the Father has. Woo! Amazing. Okay, so let's dive into one more quote. All right, so this one is by Neal A. Maxwell again. And he says the following: how tragic it is that so many mortals are mercenaries for the adversary. That is, they do his bidding and are hired by him, bought off at such low prices. A little status, a little money, a little praise, a little fleeting fame, and they're willing to do the bidding of him who can offer all sorts of transitory rewards, but who has no celestial currency. It is amazing how well the adversary has done. His mercenaries never seem to discover the self-destructive nature of their pay and the awful bankruptcy of their poor paymaster. One thing I have asked in the past is, would you want a house full of gold, which the adversary, or as he says here, the poor paymaster can offer? But he's bankrupt. He has no power in the eternities. This next quote will drive this home even more. He's bankrupt. He gave up his first estate. He doesn't have a body. He's chill and trying to make us miserable like unto him. And he can offer a house full of gold for you. That's wonderful. You can do a lot of good with that and become philanthropical and make a big difference. Or through the power of godliness, learning to master and subdue the natural man and to become a servant to the Most High God, you can grow line upon line, precept upon precept, perfection upon perfection, grace for grace, grace to grace, until with your eyes single to him, you comprehend all things. And you are given power, real power, power to create. I'll leave it at that. Power to create. For example, if you had the power to create, you could create a mountain and it could have sleeves of gold everywhere. Like, would you much rather have the power to create gold and organize worlds, so to speak, or a house full of gold? So this is what we're talking about here. By making Jesus the mark, you have access to greater power, greater vision, greater than the things that this transitory world can offer. And I'm not saying the transitory world doesn't offer good things. It offers good and great things. I am saying that Jesus Christ taught a higher law. And with the higher law comes higher blessings, higher abundance, peace that surpasseth understanding, joy, comfort, long-suffering, patience, compassion, charity, the fullness of the Holy Ghost. I mean, there's so many gifts. Or the fullness of the mind of God. Woo! Okay, so one more quote to drive home about this poor paymaster. So if you have all the money and wealth of this world, what's that going to do for you when you pass? In Luke chapter 16, there was a wealthy man that wore purple robes and lived large, and he passed the same time another man named Lazarus passed that had sores, and the dogs licked the sores on him. Yet the Lazarus, when they passed, was exalted this century and had great peace and joy, whereas the wealthy man who only gave the scraps of his food to this Lazarus man begged and pleaded. Angels, God, whomever it was, please let Lazarus dip his toe in this awful pain that I am in. Teach my brothers who are still here. Go to visit them as a rise someone from the dead and teach them, or an angel or someone, so that they do not experience what I experienced. Because this wealthy man could have had the mark, but he looked beyond it. So here's the other quote. This one is from President Uchtdorf in 2012. He's now elder. Dieter F. Uchtdorf, and he said the following: disciples of Jesus Christ understand that compared to eternity, our existence in this mortal sphere is only a small moment in space and time. They know that a person's true value has little to do with what the world holds in high esteem. They know you could pile up an accumulated currency. Note the key word here, currency, same as what was mentioned in the previous quote, celestial currency. You could, but the opposite. You can pile up the accumulated currency of the entire world, and it could not buy a loaf of bread in the economy of heaven. Whoa! Thus we see how the adversary is a poor paymaster. Yeah, he can pay in gold, in silver, and jewelry, and fine things. But as you were born in this world, in an empty body, not empty, but feel in a body that was naked, you're going to pass. And you can't take the gold and the silver with you, but you can take intelligence. You can take understanding. You can take peace, joy, gifts of the Spirit with you. And you can learn to utilize, you can control and handle the powers of heaven in this life that will prepare you to do so at a faster, more exalted way in the passing. So my invitation to you, I've dove into some really deep subjects here. Check out, it's not up yet, but I'm converting my blog, my former blog, to jesusisthemark.com. And I'm going to dive deeper into that. It's going to talk about the power of godliness, talk about activating the atonement of Christ in your life, to take the yoke of Christ upon you, to access the infinite power that's available to you, to have more than the form of godliness. And I've referenced that many times, but I hope you catch that. But that's from a reference in the Joseph Smith history, verse 19, where it says that many have the form of godliness, but they lack the power thereof. So if you're living correct principles, but your intention is to get gain, you have access to the power of godliness, or excuse me, the form of godliness. But the power of godliness comes when your intentions are to build God's kingdom, not your kingdom. Then you have not only the form of godliness, but the power thereof, which gives you many, 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 many gifts, including gifts of the Spirit, gifts of vision, gifts of discernment, gifts of seership, etc. So make Jesus the mark in your life. Turn your life over to him. Check out jesusismark.com and dive deeper into these topics. Let's connect. Let's reach out. Hit a comment and we'll connect. All right. Have a great day.